Welcome to the Appendix, where we read primary sources of the past so that the present can be better understood. Today's primary source, New York City Resolutions on the Boston Port Act, July 6, 1774. At a numerous meeting of the inhabitants of the city of New York, convened in the field by a public advertisement on Wednesday, the 6th of July, 1774, Mr. Alexander McDougall, chairman. The business of the meeting being fully explained by the chairman, and the dangerous tendency of the numerous and vile arts used by the enemies of America to divide and distract her counsels, as well as the misrepresentation of the virtuous intentions of the citizens of this metropolis, in this interesting and alarming state of the liberties of America. The following resolutions were twice read, and the question being separately put on each of them, they were passed out without one dissent. 1. Resolved, the statute commonly called the Boston Port Act is oppressive to the inhabitants of that town, unconstitutional in its principles, and dangerous to the liberties of British Americans, and that therefore we consider our brethren at Boston as now suffering in the common cause of these colonies. 2nd, resolved, that any attack or attempt to abridge the liberties or invade the Constitution of any of our sister colonies is immediately an attack upon the liberties and Constitution of all the British colonies. 3rd, resolved, that the shutting up of any of the ports in America with intent to exact from Americans a submission to parliamentary taxation or exhort a reparation of private injuries is highly unconstitutional and subversive of the commercial rights of the inhabitants of this continent. 4th, resolved, that it is the opinion of this meeting that if a principal colony on this continent shall come into a joint resolution to stop all importation from and exportation to Great Britain till the Act of Parliament for blocking up the harbor of Boston be repealed, the same will prove the salvation of North America and her liberties, and that, on the other hand, if they continue their exports and imports, there is a great reason to fear that fraud, power, and the most odious oppression will triumph over right justice, social happiness, and freedom. Therefore, 5th, resolved, that the deputies who shall represent this colony in the Congress of America deputies to be held at Philadelphia about the 1st of September next are hereby instructed, empowered, and directed to engage with the majority of the principal colonies to agree for this city upon a non-importation from Great Britain of all goods, wares, merchandises, until the act for blocking up the harbor of Boston be repealed, and American grievances be redressed, and also to agree to all such other measures as the Congress shall, in their wisdom, judge advances of the great objects and a general security of the rights and privileges of America. 6th, resolved, that this meeting will abide by, obey, and observe all such resolutions, determinations, and measures which the Congress aforesaid shall come into, and direct or recommend to be done for obtaining and securing the important ends mentioned in the foregoing resolution, and that an agreement to this effect, by immediately entering into and sent to the Congress, to evince to them our readiness and determination to cooperate with our sister colonies for the relief of our distressed brethren of Boston, for the security of our common rights and privileges. 8th, resolved, that a subscription should be immediately set on foot for the relief of such poor inhabitants of Boston as are, or may be deprived, of the means of subsistence, by the operation of the Act of Parliament for stopping up the ports of Boston. Ninth, resolved, that the City Committee of Correspondence be, and they are hereby instructed to use their utmost devout's to carry these resolutions into execution. Thank you for joining us for our primary source today on the appendix. We will see you in the stacks.